The Habit Architect, Building a Life of Excellence podcast introduction. The foundation of habits. Welcome, friends, to The Habit Architect, Building a Life of Excellence, where we dig deep, laugh hard, and build lives we're proud to call our own. In this series, we're not just talking about habits. We're talking about the foundations of greatness, about laying down the bricks that will shape your destiny. Because here's the thing, your life is the masterpiece you've been building all along, one small decision at a time. Now, I know what you're thinking. Habits? Really? That sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. But stick with me here because we're going to flip that notion on its head. You see, habits are the unsung heroes of your success story, the quiet architects behind the scenes, shaping the life you want without you even realizing it. We're about to unlock the blueprint to excellence, and trust me, it's a lot more fun than you might think. Life as a blueprint. Picture this. You're the architect of a magnificent house, your life. Every decision you make is like laying down a brick. Each morning routine, each step toward your goals, even the smallest habits, they all contribute to the final masterpiece. And just like a real house, if the foundation isn't solid, well, we've all seen what happens to houses built on shaky ground. They crumble under pressure, like our New Year's resolutions by February. But here's the great part. Unlike a house, your life is a work in progress. You can always add another floor, fix a weak wall, or reinforce those shaky beams. The power is in your hands, my friends. And the tool we're going to use? You guessed it, habits. The myth of big changes. It's the little things now. We've all been sold this myth that big, dramatic changes are the only way to success. You know, those all-or-nothing transformations where someone goes from couch potato to marathon runner overnight. But let's be real. Who wakes up on Monday and becomes a whole new person by Tuesday? That's not how life works. I mean, if you've ever tried to cut carbs out cold turkey, you know the struggle. 1 minute, you're a health guru, and the next, you're elbow deep in a bag of chips, wondering what went wrong. But here's the secret. Success isn't built in giant leaps. It's built in small, consistent steps. Think of habits as the scaffolding around the building of your life. Each little habit supports the next one until you've built something strong, something resilient. Are your habits working for you or against you? So, let me ask you this. Are your habits building the life you want, or are they working against you? Because let's face it, we all have habits, some good, some. Well, let's just say they're not exactly helping us out. You ever find yourself scrolling on your phone for just 5 more minutes and then realize an hour has flown by? Yeah, me too. It's like your bad habits are sneaky little thieves, stealing away your time and energy without you noticing. But don't worry, this isn't about shaming you for Netflix binges or late-night snacks. No. We're here to take those sneaky little habits and turn them into the powerhouses of your success. And it starts with awareness. The first step to becoming the architect of your life is recognizing the habits that are shaping it. My own habit journey. Let me share a quick story from my own life. There was a time when I was stuck in the cycle of tomorrow thinking. You know, that voice in your head that says, I'll start eating healthier tomorrow, I'll go to the gym tomorrow, I'll start working on my goals. Tomorrow, spoiler alert, tomorrow never comes. It's like that one friend who always says, we should hang out sometime, but never actually makes plans. But then, something clicked. I realized that the life I wanted wasn't going to magically appear because I wished for it. It was going to happen because of what I did every single day. And so, I started small. I made one tiny change, just 10 minutes of exercise a day. That's it. And let me tell you, those 10 minutes turned into 15, then 20, and before I knew it, I was in a full-on habit-building frenzy. Habits as roots. Think of your habits like roots of a tree. The deeper they grow, the stronger the tree becomes, able to withstand the fiercest storms. And life will bring storms. No doubt about that. But when your habits are strong, you're like that unshakable tree, rooted, grounded, and resilient. Storms will pass. Tough times come and go. But the strength of your habits, that's what keeps you standing tall. And here's the thing, those habits don't have to be massive. In fact, the smaller they are, the easier they are to stick to. Let's talk about procrastination. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, procrastination, the mortal enemy of progress. I don't know about you, but procrastination and I used to be best buds. I'd say, hey, I'm going to write that report now. And procrastination would say, nah, let's scroll Instagram for an hour first. But here's the deal. Procrastination is like that lazy builder who just sits around eating donuts while you're trying to construct your masterpiece. It's time to kick that guy off the job site. You don't need him around messing up your timeline. Procrastination thrives on overwhelm. When you've got 1,000 things on your to-do list, it's easy to freeze up. But habits, habits, they cut through that overwhelm like a hot knife through butter. When you break your goals into tiny, manageable pieces, suddenly the mountain you've been staring at doesn't look so intimidating. What could you build with consistency? So, let me ask you, what kind of life could you build if you had the power of consistent positive habits on your side? What masterpiece could you create if you committed to just one new habit today? It's not about overhauling your entire life overnight. It's about making small, intentional changes that compound over time. It's like compounding interest for your personal growth. Building habits. The science behind it. Now, I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. There's actual science behind it. Studies show that habits take around 66 days to become automatic. But here's the kicker. You don't need to wait 66 days to see the benefits. You'll start noticing changes as soon as you start taking consistent action. Here's an example. Ever start working out after a long break? The first week feels like your muscles are actively plotting against you, right? But by week 2 or 3, something amazing happens. You start feeling stronger, your mood improves, and suddenly you can lift a little more, run a little further. That's the power of habits, small, consistent actions that lead to big results over time. Time to start laying bricks, all right? My fellow architects, it's time to grab your tools and start building. What's the one habit you can commit to today? Just one. Maybe it's drinking more water, taking a 10-minute walk, or setting aside time for that passion project you've been neglecting. Remember, you don't need to overhaul your life in one go. You just need to lay down one brick, and then another. And before you know it, you'll look up and see that you've built something truly remarkable. So, are you ready to become the architect of your life? Are you ready to design a life of excellence? Brick by brick, habit by habit? Let's do this together. Thank you for joining me on this first step of our journey. Next time, we're diving into the details, how to build habits that last, how to overcome obstacles, and how to turn your dreams into blueprints. Until then, remember, you are the architect of your life. Let's start building. Podcast Part 1. The storm before the calm. Welcome back, architects of excellence, to another exciting episode of The Habit Architect, building a life of excellence. Today, we're about to walk through the storm, but don't worry, because it's in the middle of that storm where the magic of resilience takes shape. Our habits, the good, the bad, the ugly, are forged in the moments when we face challenges head-on. So, grab your metaphorical umbrella, because we're about to dive deep into the storm before the calm. Storm clouds and rough seas, picture this. You're standing on the shore, looking out at a raging sea. The waves are crashing, the sky is dark, and the storm seems endless. That's what life feels like sometimes, doesn't it? The stress of deadlines, the pressure to succeed, the never-ending to-do lists. It's like being tossed around by the waves, no land in sight. But here's the secret. The storm doesn't last forever. And those waves, they're not here to drown you. They're here to teach you how to swim. We all have those moments when the storm feels like it's too much to handle. But the real question is, what do you do in the middle of the storm? Do you let it pull you under, or do you find a way to rise above it? Because here's the thing, storms pass. They always do. And when they do, what's left behind is something even stronger. How many storms have you survived already? Let me ask you something. How many storms have you already survived? Think about it. You've made it through sleepless nights, tough conversations, missed opportunities, and maybe even heartbreak. And yet, here you are, still standing, still moving forward. That's the thing about storms. They're temporary. But your resilience, that's permanent. Every time you make it through one, you're not just surviving, you're growing. You're learning. You're becoming the architect of your own resilience. So, why do we feel like every storm is the end of the world when, deep down, we know that it's just another passing cloud? It's because storms trick us into thinking they're bigger than they are. But today, we're going to stop letting those clouds control us. We're going to learn how to build the habits that will help us not just survive the storm, but thrive in it. The power of perspective. From chaos to calm, you ever notice how, after the storm, everything seems clearer? The air feels fresher, the sky is brighter, and there's this stillness that wasn't there before. That's because the storm has a purpose. It shakes things up, but in the process, it clears away the noise. Let's take that metaphor and apply it to your life. What if the challenges you're facing right now are actually shaking things up to make way for something better? What if the chaos is just a prelude to calm? And what if, in the middle of it all, you could find the clarity you've been searching for? It's all about perspective, my friends. And your habits, those daily decisions that seem so small, are the key to shifting that perspective. Because when you have strong habits, the storm doesn't feel so overwhelming. You're not caught off guard. You're prepared. And that preparation, that's where your power lies. The small storms of life. Now, I know what you're thinking. Not every storm feels like a life-changing event. Sometimes, it's just the small, everyday storms that get us. Like when you spill coffee on your favorite shirt 5 minutes before a big meeting, or when your Wi-Fi decides to take a nap right in the middle of a crucial Zoom call. Those small storms can feel just as frustrating, right? But here's the thing. Whether the storm is big or small, the habits we build are what help us navigate through them. Even in those moments when life feels like it's conspiring against us, we can find calm by leaning on the routines we've set in place. The role of habits in the storm. So, what habits are we talking about here? Let's break it down. Imagine you're caught in a real storm. What do you need to get through it? You need shelter. You need warmth. You need some kind of anchor that keeps you from being swept away. In life, your habits are that anchor. They're the routines that keep you grounded when everything else is in chaos. Maybe it's your morning routine that gives you a sense of control before the day spirals out of hand. Maybe it's your exercise habit that clears your mind and boosts your mood, even when stress is at an all-time high. Or maybe it's as simple as the habit of taking 5 deep breaths when things get overwhelming. These are the small, seemingly insignificant habits that, when the storm hits, turn into your lifesavers. What are your life-saving habits? So, let me ask you, what habits are saving you in your storm? Do you even have them? Or are you still trying to figure out how to ride the waves without a life jacket? Because here's the reality. If you wait until the storm hits to start building habits, you're going to struggle. It's like trying to build a boat in the middle of the ocean. But if you start laying the foundation now, while the skies are still clear, you'll be ready when the storm comes. And trust me, it will come. But you'll be prepared. Building resilience. The anchor of consistent habits. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, brick by brick, habit by habit. And the best part, it doesn't take monumental changes to build that resilience. It takes small, consistent actions. Think of resilience like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it becomes. And your habits, they're your daily workout. Every time you stick to a habit, no matter how small, you're building resilience. You're training yourself to handle whatever life throws at you. Whether it's a major life crisis or just another Monday morning, Your habits are there to catch you when you fall. Roots digging deep. Let's go back to our metaphor for a second. Think of your habits as the roots of a tree. The deeper those roots grow, the more stable the tree becomes. Storms may come, winds may blow, but a tree with deep roots doesn't fall. It bends, it sways, but it stands tall. Your habits are the roots that will keep you standing when life tries to knock you down. And the deeper you grow those roots, the more resilient you become. The storms might shake you, but they won't break you. Laughing through the storm. Now, I know this all sounds pretty intense, but let's not forget one of the most powerful tools we have to get through the storm. Laughter. Yep, you heard me right. Laughter. Because, honestly, if we can't laugh at the ridiculousness of life sometimes, what are we even doing? You ever have one of those days where everything seems to go wrong, and at some point, you just have to laugh? Like, of course the car breaks down right when I'm already late. Or, sure, the dog threw up on the carpet 5 minutes before guests arrive, why not? Laughter doesn't make the storm go away, but it sure makes it easier to get through. So, don't be afraid to find humor in the chaos. Because sometimes, a good laugh is the best way to remind yourself that you're going to be okay. The calm after the storm. What comes next now? Here's the part no one tells you about the storm. After the chaos comes a calm. And that calm, it's your opportunity. It's the space where you get to rebuild, refocus, and strengthen the habits that will carry you forward. The storm shakes things up, but it also clears the way for something new. Maybe the storm reveals a habit you've been neglecting, or maybe it forces you to rethink the way you've been approaching your goals. Whatever the case, the calm after the storm is your chance to start fresh. And that's the beautiful thing about life. It's full of new beginnings. Every storm, every challenge is an opportunity to build something even better. What will you build after the storm? So, let me ask you, what are you going to build after the storm? What habits are you going to strengthen? What new routines are you going to create? Because the storm doesn't last forever. And when it's over, you'll have a choice. You can go back to the way things were, or you can use the storm as a catalyst for growth. The calm after the storm is your blank canvas. What masterpiece are you going to create? Start building today. Here's the truth. You don't have to wait for the storm to be over to start building. You can start today, right now. Even in the middle of the chaos, you can start laying the foundation for the life you want to create. Pick one habit, just one. Maybe it's a morning routine. Maybe it's journaling at the end of the day. Maybe it's taking a few minutes to meditate. Whatever it is, start small. Start simple. But start today. Because the storm may come and go, but the habits you build will last a lifetime. Thank you for walking through the storm with me today. Remember, no matter how tough the storm, you have the power to weather it. You have the power to build resilience through your habits. And when the storm clears, you'll be standing strong, ready to build the life of excellence you've always dreamed of. Next time, we'll be diving deeper into the power of small steps and how tiny habits can lead to monumental change. Until then, keep laying those bricks, keep growing those roots, and keep moving forward because you're the architect of your own life. Podcast Part 2, The Power of One Step. Welcome back, builders of excellence, to the Habit Architect, building a life of excellence. In our last episode, we walked through the storm before the calm. Today, we're taking it one step further, literally. We're going to talk about the power of one step. That's right, just one. You might be thinking, how can one step possibly make a difference? Well, stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll realize that one small step can lead to monumental changes. So, let's dive right in and discover the unstoppable power of starting small. One step up a mountain. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain, staring up at the peak. It looks impossibly far, doesn't it? That summit, your dream, your goal, your big ambition, feels like it's miles away, and the path to get there seems overwhelming. But here's the secret to climbing any mountain. You don't need to focus on the peak. You only need to focus on the next step, and then the one after that, and the one after that. That's how all great journeys begin. One step at a time. Every giant leap in life starts with one small action. And that's what we're going to explore today, how the power of one step can change the trajectory of your life, your habits, and your future. Why do we overcomplicate things? But let me ask you something. Why do we overcomplicate things? Why do we think that change has to be big, dramatic, and instant? We've all been there, planning out massive goals and expecting ourselves to overhaul our entire lives in a single day. But that's not how real change works, is it? We've convinced ourselves that if we can't do it all at once, it's not worth doing at all. But think about it. Have you ever seen someone run a marathon without first lacing up their shoes and taking that first step? Of course not. So why do we expect ourselves to achieve our biggest dreams without breaking them down into manageable steps? The all-or-nothing trap. I'm sure you've been caught in the all-or-nothing trap before. You know the one. It's the mentality that says, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. It's like when you decide to start a new fitness routine and on day one, you're already Googling how to train for a triathlon in 10 days, even though you haven't run a mile in months. But here's the deal. Perfection is a myth. And trying to achieve it from the get-go is like trying to build a house without laying the foundation. So, let's throw out the all-or-nothing mindset right now and focus on what really matters. The power of one step. Because that's where true progress begins. The science behind small steps now. Let's talk about the science behind this. You see, our brains are wired for small wins. When we complete even the tiniest task, our brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical that motivates us to keep going. That's why taking one small step feels so satisfying. It's not about the size of the step, it's about the momentum it creates. When you set a massive, overwhelming goal, your brain freaks out. It sees the mountain and thinks, nope, not today. But when you focus on just one step, your brain can handle that. It says, okay, I can do this. And suddenly, you're off and running. One step turns into two steps turn into three, and before you know it, you're halfway up the mountain. My own journey of small steps. I've got a little personal story for you. There was a time in my life when I wanted to change everything at once. I had this grand vision of becoming super fit, building a successful business, learning a new language, and meditating every day. Sounds great, right? Well, I thought so, too, until I tried to do it all at once. Let's just say that after a week of trying to juggle all these massive changes, I was exhausted. I'd burn out by Friday, and by the following Monday, I'd be back to square one. It was frustrating, disheartening, and honestly, it felt like I was never going to achieve my goals. But then, I had a realization. I didn't have to do it all at once. I just had to take one step. So, I picked one thing, just one, and committed to it. For me, that was exercising for 10 minutes a day. That's it, just 10 minutes. And you know what happened? I started seeing progress. The small step turned into a habit. The habit turned into momentum. And that momentum, it carried me forward. Soon, 10 minutes became 20, then 30. And suddenly, I wasn't just exercising. I was building the life I wanted one small step at a time. That's the power of starting small. Habits as building blocks. Think of your habits like building blocks. Each small habit is like one brick in the foundation of your life. You can't build the entire house in a day, but you can lay down one brick, and then another, and another. Each brick, each habit, adds to the strength of the structure you're building. And here's the thing, if you're consistent with laying those bricks, eventually you'll look up and realize you built something incredible. But it all starts with that first brick, that first step. Celebrating the small wins now. Let's talk about something we often overlook, celebrating the small wins. How many times have you accomplished something small, but shrugged it off because it didn't seem like a big deal? It's like when you finally fold the laundry that's been sitting in the corner for 3 days, and instead of giving yourself a pat on the back, you just move on to the next thing. But here's the truth. Those small wins matter. In fact, They're crucial to your success. Every time you take a small step, you're reinforcing the habit of progress. You're proving to yourself that you can do it. And that's worth celebrating. So, I want you to start celebrating those small wins. Did you drink an extra glass of water today? Celebrate it. Did you spend 5 minutes organizing your desk? Celebrate it. Did you take that first step toward your goal, even if it was tiny? You better celebrate that too, because each small win is a step closer to the life you want to build. What's one step you can take today? So, let me ask you, what's one step you can take today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because here's the thing, waiting for the perfect time to start is just another way of procrastinating. There's no perfect time. There's only now. What's that one small step you've been putting off? Maybe it's writing the first sentence of that book you've always wanted to write. Maybe it's going for a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's setting up that savings account you've been talking about for months. Whatever it is, take that step today, and then take another tomorrow. And before you know it, you'll have built a habit of progress. The compound effect. How small steps lead to big change. Now, let's talk about something called the compound effect. This is the idea that small, consistent actions add up to massive results over time. Imagine you're saving $1 a day. It doesn't seem like much, right? But over a year, that's $365. Over 10 years, it's $3,650. Small, consistent actions compound into something much bigger. The same principle applies to your habits. Taking one small step might not seem like much in the moment, but over time, those steps add up. They compound, and before you know it, you achieve something incredible. Think about it this way. If you improve by just 1% every day, by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better than you were when you started. That's the power of small, consistent steps. The overnight success myth, we love to talk about overnight success stories. But let me tell you something. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Behind every overnight success is years of hard work, small steps, and habits that have been building over time. It's like looking at a beautiful garden and forgetting that someone had to plant seeds, water them, and pull weeds day after day. But we don't see that part, do we? We only see the final result, and we convince ourselves that it happened in an instant. Spoiler alert, it didn't. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never get there," remember that even the most successful people started with one small step. And so can you. The domino effect. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you're lining up a row of dominoes. The first domino is tiny, and the next one is a little bigger, and the next one is even bigger. But all it takes to knock them over is that first tiny push. Once the first domino falls, it creates a chain reaction, knocking over all the others with it. Your habits work the same way. That first small step might seem insignificant, but it's the one that sets everything else in motion. It's the catalyst that creates a ripple effect in your life. Once you take that first step, the momentum builds, and soon enough, you'll see that even the biggest obstacles are falling like dominoes. What chain reaction will you start? So, here's the big question. What chain reaction will you start today? What's the first domino you need to knock over? Because once you take that first step, the rest will follow. It doesn't matter how small the step is. What matters is that you take it. Remember, it's not about doing everything at once. It's about creating momentum, building habits, and letting those small steps add up to something greater. It's about trusting the process and knowing that every step you take is bringing you closer to your goal. Take your first step today, all right, my friends? It's time to take action. I want you to pick one small step, just one, and commit to doing it today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Maybe it's making your bed in the morning. Maybe it's setting a timer for 10 minutes to declutter your space. Maybe it's taking a 5-minute walk around the block. Whatever it is, take that step. And once you've done it, celebrate the heck out of it. Because here's the truth. That one small step is the beginning of something big. It's the start of a journey, the first brick in your foundation, the first domino in a chain reaction that will lead to the life you've always wanted. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of small steps and big changes. Remember, you have the power to create momentum in your life, one habit at a time. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward your goals. So, go out there and take your first step today. I can't wait to hear about the progress you'll make. Next time, we're diving into the idea of building habits like muscles, how repetition, consistency, and discipline will help you build a life of excellence. Until then, keep moving forward, keep laying those bricks, and keep taking those steps because you're the architect of your own life. Podcast Part 4, The Enemy of Habit. Procrastination, welcome back, fellow architects of excellence, to another episode of The Habit Architect, Building a Life of Excellence. Today, we're talking about a villain we all know too well, procrastination. That sneaky little voice that whispers, "You can do it later," when you know you should be doing it now. Whether it's a major project, a simple task, or even starting that healthy habit, procrastination is the enemy of progress. And let me tell you, it's the one enemy that knows how to hit us where it hurts. So, in this episode, we're going to unmask procrastination and figure out how to stop it dead in its tracks. Let's get into it. Procrastination as a cunning thief. Procrastination is like a cunning thief. It sneaks into your life quietly, without you noticing, and before you know it, it's stolen your most valuable asset, your time. And the worst part? Procrastination doesn't break into your life with a bang. No. It tiptoes in, whispering sweet nothings like, "It's okay, you've got plenty of time," or "You work best under pressure anyway." And then bam, the deadline hits, and suddenly you're scrambling to get things done. But here's the thing about procrastination. It's not just about putting things off until later. It's about putting off your potential, your progress, and your success. Every time we procrastinate, we're giving that thief permission to steal a little bit more of our future. So today, we're going to catch procrastination in the act and take back control. Why do we procrastinate? But let me ask you something. Why do we procrastinate? Seriously, what's going on in our brains that makes us think, "I'll just check social media for 5 minutes," and then 45 minutes later, we're deep in a rabbit hole of funny cat videos? It's not like we don't know better. We know we should be working on that project or hitting the gym or cleaning the house, but we still put it off. Why is that? Well, the answer is more complicated than just laziness. In fact, procrastination often has very little to do with laziness at all. The science of procrastination, fear, avoidance, and the brain, here's the thing. Procrastination is usually driven by deeper emotions, fear, anxiety, self-doubt, or even perfectionism. That's right. Sometimes we procrastinate because we're afraid of not doing something perfectly. So, instead of doing it poorly, we just don't do it at all. Makes sense, right? But here's the truth. When we procrastinate, we're not avoiding the task itself. We're avoiding the negative emotions that we associate with the task. Maybe it's the fear of failure. Maybe it's the fear of starting something we think we won't finish. Or maybe it's just the discomfort of doing something we find boring or challenging. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And procrastination? It's the brain's way of avoiding the pain of doing something we perceive as difficult or unpleasant. But here's the kicker. Putting off the task doesn't make the negative emotions go away. In fact, it usually makes them worse. Procrastination's greatest hits now, let's be real. Procrastination has its greatest hits, doesn't it? You know what I'm talking about. That classic move where you decide you'll start tomorrow. Or my personal favorite, I'll just check my email really quickly before I start working. And then suddenly, you're reorganizing your inbox for an hour. Procrastination is the master of disguise. It tricks you into thinking you're being productive while you're really just avoiding the important stuff. You tell yourself, "I'll just clean my desk so I can focus better." And before you know it, you're deep cleaning your entire house. And somehow, the original task still isn't done. But here's the thing. Procrastination isn't just about wasting time. It's about what that wasted time costs you. Because every minute you spend procrastinating is a minute you're not using to build the life you want. And that's the real cost of procrastination. It's not just time lost, it's progress lost. The hidden consequences of procrastination. So, let's talk about the hidden consequences of procrastination. We tend to think that procrastination only affects us in the moment, that it's just about putting off a task for a few hours or days. But the truth is, procrastination has long-term consequences. First, there's the stress. We all know the feeling of waiting until the last minute to get something done and then scrambling to finish it in a panic. That stress? It's not just mentally exhausting, it's physically harmful. Procrastination increases our anxiety, affects our sleep, and can even weaken our immune system over time. But even beyond the stress, procrastination erodes our self-confidence. Every time we put something off, we're telling ourselves that we're not capable of handling it. And the more we procrastinate, the more we start to believe that lie. It's a vicious cycle, one that can keep us stuck for years if we don't break it. How do we break the cycle of procrastination? So, how do we break this cycle? How do we stop letting procrastination steal our time, our progress, and our confidence? The answer is simpler than you might think. It's all about habits. Yep, you heard me right. The same way we build positive habits, we can also build habits to defeat procrastination. And it starts with one small step. Just like we talked about in the last episode, the power of one step is all it takes to create momentum. So, let's break down how we can use that same principle to stop procrastinating and start making progress. The power of starting small. Overcoming the overwhelm. One of the biggest reasons we procrastinate is because we feel overwhelmed. The task feels too big, too daunting, so we keep putting it off. But here's the thing, every big task is made up of smaller steps. And when we focus on just one small step, the overwhelm starts to disappear. For example, let's say you've been putting off writing a report. The idea of sitting down and writing the whole thing feels impossible, so you avoid it. But what if you broke it down into smaller steps? Instead of thinking, I have to write this entire report, you think, I'll just write the first paragraph. Suddenly, the task doesn't seem so scary anymore. And once you've written that first paragraph, you're already in motion. You've created momentum. And that momentum, it's the antidote to procrastination. The 5-minute rule. Here's a little trick I like to call the 5-minute rule. It's simple. When you're feeling the urge to procrastinate, commit to doing the task for just 5 minutes. That's it. Just 5 minutes. Now, I know what you're thinking. 5 minutes? That's nothing. But that's the point. The 5-minute rule tricks your brain into getting started. And once you're started, you'll often find that you want to keep going. It's like going to the gym. You know those days when you really don't feel like working out, but you tell yourself, I'll just go for 10 minutes. And then, once you're there, you end up doing a full workout. The hardest part is getting started. Once you take that first step, the rest becomes easier. Procrastination as a heavy boulder. Think of procrastination like a heavy boulder sitting in the middle of the road. It feels impossible to move, so you don't even try. But here's the thing. If you give that boulder a small push, it starts to roll. And once it's rolling, it picks up speed. The momentum builds, and soon enough, that heavy boulder is moving on its own. That's what happens when you start small. You give procrastination a little push, and before you know it, you're in motion. You've broken through the resistance, and suddenly, the task doesn't feel so overwhelming anymore. What small push can you give today? So, here's the question. What small push can you give yourself today? What's one tiny step you can take to overcome procrastination and start building momentum? Maybe it's setting a 5-minute timer and working on that task you've been avoiding. Maybe it's writing just one sentence of that report. Maybe it's getting up and walking around the block to clear your mind. Whatever it is, start small, because once you're in motion, the rest will follow. The power of accountability. How to stay on track. Another powerful tool to defeat procrastination is accountability. Let's face it, we're a lot more likely to procrastinate when no one's watching. But when we've got someone holding us accountable, that's a game changer. Accountability can take many forms. It could be a friend, a mentor, or even a co-worker who checks in on your progress. Or it could be as simple as writing down your goals and checking them off as you complete them. The point is to create a system where you're not just relying on your own willpower, because let's be real, willpower is unreliable at best. But accountability, that's what keeps you on track, even when procrastination comes knocking. Procrastination buddies. Now, I know what you're thinking. Accountability sounds serious. But it doesn't have to be. In fact, you can make it fun. One of my favorite ways to stay accountable is to find a procrastination buddy. This is someone who's also trying to break the cycle of procrastination, and you keep each other in check. It's like having a gym buddy. But instead of spotting you on the bench press, they're texting you to make sure you're working on that project you've been putting off. And you do the same for them. It's a win-win. Plus, you can celebrate each other's wins, which makes the whole process way more fun. The importance of self-compassion. Don't beat yourself up now. Before we wrap up, there's something important we need to talk about: self-compassion. Because here's the thing, procrastination happens to all of us. And if you beat yourself up every time you procrastinate, you're just adding more negative emotions to the mix. And what do we know about negative emotions? They fuel procrastination. So, instead of beating yourself up, try practicing a little self-compassion. Acknowledge that procrastination is something we all struggle with, and remind yourself that it's okay. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to make progress. And progress, my friends, comes one step at a time. How can you show yourself compassion today? How can you show yourself compassion today? Maybe it's acknowledging that you've been procrastinating, but deciding to take one small step forward anyway. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to start over without judgment. Or maybe it's simply reminding yourself that procrastination is just a habit you can change. Because here's the truth. You are capable of overcoming procrastination. You are capable of taking action. And you are capable of building the life you want, one step at a time. Break the cycle of procrastination today. All right, my fellow architects of excellence, it's time to take action. I want you to pick one task you've been procrastinating on, just one, and commit to taking one small step toward completing it today. Maybe it's setting that 5-minute timer. Maybe it's asking a friend to hold you accountable. Maybe it's simply writing down the first step. Whatever it is, do it today, because every small step you take chips away at procrastination's power. Every time you take action, you're reclaiming your time, your progress, and your potential. Thank you for joining me today as we unmask the enemy of habit, procrastination. Remember, procrastination is a habit, but so is taking action. And the more you practice taking small steps, the easier it becomes to defeat procrastination for good. Next time, we're going to dive into the process of building your habits brick by brick, how small, consistent actions lead to lasting success. Until then, keep pushing that boulder, keep breaking through the resistance, and keep moving forward because you're the architect of your own life. Podcast Part 5. Building Brick by Brick. Welcome back, architects of excellence, to another episode of The Habit Architect. Building a life of excellence. Today's episode is all about the art of building brick by brick. We're going to dive deep into the power of consistency and how, over time, those small, daily actions stack up to create something extraordinary. It's time to get practical, get focused, and most importantly, get building. So, let's roll up our sleeves and start laying down the foundation. Life as a wall built one brick at a time. Imagine your life as a wall. Every habit, every action, every decision you make is like laying down one brick. Now, one brick on its own doesn't seem like much, does it? It's small, insignificant, and easy to overlook. But when you place that brick carefully and then add another and another, something remarkable starts to happen. Over time, those small individual bricks form a solid, towering wall, a wall that represents your progress, your growth, and your success. But here's the catch. You can't rush it. You can't skip bricks. You have to place each one, day by day, brick by brick. And that's what we're focusing on today. How the small, consistent actions we take every day become the foundation of the life we want to build. Why do we want to skip steps? But let me ask you something. Why do we always want to skip steps? Why do we try to rush the process? We live in a world of instant gratification, where we want results now, and when they don't come fast enough, we get frustrated. How many times have you started something, whether it's a new fitness routine, a side project, or even a personal goal, and expected to see massive results within the first week? And when you didn't, you felt like giving up, right? But here's the thing. Great things take time. Building something solid takes time. And the only way to do that is by focusing on the small daily actions, the bricks, that will eventually build the entire wall. So, today, we're going to explore how to stay patient, how to stay consistent, and how to trust the process. The importance of consistency. A brick every day. Consistency is one of the most powerful forces in life. Yet it's also one of the hardest things to master. Why? Because consistency isn't flashy. It's not exciting. It's not the big, dramatic changes that get all the attention. Instead, it's the quiet, repetitive actions that don't seem like much at the time, but eventually add up to something incredible. Think of it like this. If you lay down just one brick every day, you won't see much progress after a week. But after a month, after a year, that's when you start to notice that something is taking shape. And that's the beauty of consistency. It works in the background, building momentum until one day you look up and the wall is there, standing tall. My own journey with consistency. Let me share a little story from my own life. There was a time when I struggled with consistency. I would get excited about a new goal, dive in headfirst, and then just as quickly lose steam when I didn't see immediate results. Sound familiar? But then I realized something. I wasn't giving myself enough time to see the fruits of my labor. I was expecting instant results from actions that needed time to grow. So I made a shift. Instead of focusing on the end result, I started focusing on the daily actions, the bricks, that I could lay down consistently. And slowly but surely, things started to change. I applied this to everything: my work, my health, my personal goals. I committed to showing up every day, even if it was just a small action. And over time, those small actions turned into habits. Those habits turned into progress, and that progress turned into success. That's the power of building brick by brick. Building a house versus chasing fireworks. Think of your habits like building a house. Every day, you're adding bricks, beams, and support structures. It's a slow process, but it's steady and reliable. Now, compare that to chasing fireworks. Fireworks are flashy. They light up the sky, and they're exciting, but they disappear just as quickly as they appear. When we chase after instant results, we're like someone running around trying to catch fireworks, beautiful for a moment, but gone in an instant. But when we commit to the slow, steady process of building brick by brick, we're building something that will last, something that will stand the test of time. Something we can be proud of. What are you building? So, let me ask you, what are you building? Are you chasing fireworks, or are you laying down bricks? Because here's the thing, if you're not careful, you can spend your whole life chasing the next quick fix, the next instant result, the next firework moment. But at the end of the day, you'll have nothing to show for it. But if you commit to the process, to the small, consistent actions that may not seem glamorous, you'll build something real, something solid, something that will last. The overnight success myth. Now, we've all heard the stories of overnight success, right? Someone wakes up one morning, does something amazing, and suddenly they're at the top of their game. But here's the thing. Overnight success is a myth. What we don't see are the years of hard work, the countless failures, and the thousands of bricks that person laid down before anyone noticed. It's like seeing someone's beautiful, finished house and thinking, Wow, they must have built that in a day, without realizing they've been working on it for years. Success doesn't happen overnight. It happens brick by brick. And once we let go of the myth of overnight success, we can start focusing on what really matters. The process. The power of patience. Trusting the process. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked but absolutely essential to building anything meaningful. Patience. In today's fast-paced world, patience feels like a lost art. We're used to getting things instantly, whether it's food delivered to our door, information at the click of a button, or even instant gratification on social media. But real success, the kind that lasts, requires patience. It requires trusting the process, even when it feels slow. It's about knowing that every brick you lay is bringing you closer to your goal, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Planting seeds and waiting for the harvest. Think of building habits like planting seeds. When you plant a seed, you don't expect it to sprout overnight. You water it, you give it sunlight, and you wait. And at first, it seems like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are growing. And eventually, with enough time and care, that seed turns into a plant, then a tree, and finally, it bears fruit. That's how habits work. You might not see the results right away, but if you keep showing up, keep watering those habits, eventually you'll see the harvest. But let's skip to the good part mentality. Now, I know what you're thinking. Can't I just skip to the good part? We've all been there. You start a new habit, and after a week, you're like, okay, where's the progress? But here's the deal. You can't skip the foundation. You can't fast forward through the process. It's like trying to bake a cake and skipping the part where you mix the ingredients. You're not going to end up with a cake. You're going to end up with a mess. The same goes for your habits. You can't rush them. You can't skip the hard work. But if you stick with it, brick by brick, you'll end up with something amazing. What bricks will you lay today? So, here's the question. What bricks will you lay down today? What small, consistent actions will you take to build the life you want? Because here's the truth. Success isn't built in a day. It's built over time, one action at a time. Maybe it's spending 10 minutes reading. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's setting aside 15 minutes to work on that project you've been putting off. Whatever it is, commit to it. Lay down that brick, and then lay down another one tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. The compound effect. How small actions add up. Now, let's talk about something that's incredibly powerful but often overlooked. The compound effect. This is the idea that small, consistent actions add up over time to create massive results. It's like compound interest. Each small action builds on the one before it, and eventually, the results start to multiply. Think about it. If you improve by just 1% every day, by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better than you were when you started. That's the power of small, consistent actions. That's the power of building brick by brick. The Rome wasn't built in a day. Reminder, now, I know we've all heard the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. But it's worth repeating because it's true. And neither is your dream life. It's easy to get frustrated when you don't see immediate results. But remember, great things take time. It's like watching someone build a sandcastle. It starts with just a few small scoops of sand, but after a while, it turns into something incredible. If you walk by at the beginning, you might think, what's the big deal? It's just a pile of sand. But if you stick around long enough, you'll see the masterpiece take shape. So, if you ever feel frustrated with your progress, just remind yourself, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is your success. What masterpiece are you building? So, let me ask you, what masterpiece are you building? What are you working on, day by day, that will eventually turn into something incredible? Because here's the thing, every masterpiece starts as a small, unremarkable pile of bricks. But with consistency, patience, and persistence, it becomes something amazing. Commit to laying bricks every day. All right, my fellow builders, it's time to take action. I want you to commit to laying down one brick every day. It doesn't have to be big. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. Maybe it's 10 minutes of writing, 15 minutes of exercise, or 5 minutes of meditation. Whatever it is, commit to doing it every day. Because here's the truth. Success isn't about doing everything all at once. It's about doing small things consistently over time. It's about showing up day after day and laying down those bricks. And when you do that, you'll be amazed at what you can build. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the power of building brick by brick. Remember, you don't have to do everything at once. You just have to lay down one brick today and then another one tomorrow. Because when you commit to consistency, you're building the foundation for a life of excellence. Next time, we'll dive into the importance of habits as muscles, how repetition and discipline strengthen your ability to stay on track. Until then, keep laying those bricks, keep showing up, and keep building, because you're the architect of your own life. Podcast Part 6. The Morning Architect. Good morning, my fellow architects of excellence. Welcome back to another episode of The Habit Architect, Building a Life of Excellence. Today's episode is all about how you start your day, how you can design your mornings to set the tone for success. I like to call this being the morning architect. If you ever wonder why some people seem to jump out of bed full of energy while others hit snooze 5 times, stick around, because we're going to unlock the secrets to building a powerful morning routine that works for you. Let's dive in. The morning as an architect's blueprint. Picture your morning like the architect's blueprint for your day. Everything you want to achieve, every goal you have, every success you're aiming for, it all starts with how you lay the foundation in the morning. Just like an architect carefully plans each detail of a building, you have the power to design your morning for maximum productivity, energy, and focus. Think of it like this. If your day were a skyscraper, your morning routine is a foundation. Without a solid foundation, the rest of the day might crumble. But with a well-designed morning, you're setting yourself up for a day that's strong, stable, and ready to take on any challenge. What's the first thing you do in the morning? So, let me ask you, what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Is it grabbing your phone and scrolling through social media? Or is it hitting the snooze button, hoping for just a few more minutes of sleep? Now, don't worry, I'm not here to judge. We've all been there. But here's the truth. The first thing you do in the morning sets the tone for your entire day. If you start your morning in a rush, scrambling to get out of bed and into your day, you're already starting from a place of stress. But if you take control of those first few moments, you can set the tone for a day filled with intention, focus, and calm. The power of a morning routine. Creating consistency. One of the most powerful things you can do to take control of your day is to create a morning routine. A consistent morning routine sets the stage for everything else in your life. It's not just about getting out of bed early. It's about creating a set of habits that energize you, focus you, and prepare you for the day ahead. But here's the key. Your morning routine doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. In fact, the simpler, the better. It's not about doing 100 different things before 8 a.m. It's about finding what works for you and sticking to it. My own morning routine journey. Let me share a little story with you. For years, I struggled with mornings. I'd hit snooze, roll out of bed at the last possible minute, and start my day in a rush. I'd grab my phone, check emails, and feel stressed before I even had a chance to fully wake up. Sound familiar? But then I made a change. I decided to take control of my mornings, and it completely transformed my life. I started small, just waking up 15 minutes earlier to give myself some breathing room before the day got hectic. Over time, I added a few simple habits, stretching, journaling, and a glass of water. And you know what happened? My days became more productive, more focused, and, dare I say, more enjoyable. That's the power of a morning routine. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It just has to be yours. Morning routine as a garden. Think of your morning routine like a garden. If you water it, tend to it, and give it sunlight, it will grow into something beautiful. But if you neglect it, it withers. Your morning routine is where you plant the seeds for your day. Each habit is like a drop of water that nurtures those seeds, helping them grow into a productive, successful day. And just like a garden, your morning routine needs care and attention. You can't expect to plant seeds one day and have a fully bloomed garden the next. It takes time, consistency, and patience. But the more you nurture your morning routine, the more you'll see it grow into something powerful. What seeds are you planting in your mornings? So, here's the question. What seeds are you planting in your mornings? Are you planting seeds of stress, distraction, and chaos? Or are you planting seeds of intention, focus, and peace? Because the seeds you plant in the morning will determine the harvest you get at the end of the day. If you want a day filled with productivity and success, you have to start by planting the right seeds first thing in the morning. The snooze button trap. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the snooze button. We've all been there. You set your alarm with the best of intentions, ready to conquer the day. And then when that alarm goes off, your hand magically finds the snooze button, and before you know it, you've lost 30 minutes of your morning. The snooze button feels like a tiny victory in the moment, but in reality, it's robbing you of your morning momentum. Every time you hit snooze, you're telling yourself that the day can wait, and that's the wrong message to send. Instead of hitting snooze, what if you embrace those first few moments as an opportunity to take control of your day? What if you saw waking up as the first step in building something incredible? The power of the first 10 minutes. Setting the tone for the day. Let's talk about the first 10 minutes of your day. Those first 10 minutes are crucial. They set the tone for everything that follows. If you start your day with intention, those first 10 minutes can be a game changer. Maybe that means spending a few minutes stretching, journaling, or even just sitting quietly with your thoughts. The key is to create a ritual that brings you into the present moment and helps you start your day with focus and clarity. And here's the best part. It doesn't have to be complicated. The simpler, the better. The goal isn't to cram your morning with activities. It's to create space for intentional action. Mornings as a launch pad. Think of your morning like a launch pad. The way you launch yourself into the day determines the trajectory of your entire day. If you launch from a place of chaos, you'll carry that energy with you. But if you launch from a place of calm, focus, and intention, you're setting yourself up for a day that's productive and positive. Just like a rocket needs a solid launch to reach space, you need a solid morning to reach your goals. And the best part, you're the architect of that launch. You get to design your morning to work for you. How will you launch your day? So, let me ask you, how will you launch your day? Are you going to rush through your morning, reacting to whatever life throws at you? Or are you going to take control? Design a morning routine that fuels you and launch your day with intention? Because here's the truth. The way you start your morning is a choice, and that choice will determine the quality of your day. The perfect morning routine myth. Now, before we go any further, let's address something important. The myth of the perfect morning routine. You know the one. It's where you imagine yourself waking up at 5 a.m., meditating for 30 minutes, doing yoga, drinking a green smoothie, and then tackling your to-do list with laser focus. All before 7 a.m. But here's the deal. There's no such thing as the perfect morning routine. The goal isn't to create a routine that looks good on Instagram. It's to create a routine that works for you. Maybe you're not a morning person, and that's okay. Your morning routine doesn't have to be elaborate. It just has to be effective. The importance of customizing your morning routine. Your morning routine should be a reflection of your goals, your energy levels, and your lifestyle. What works for one person might not work for you, and that's okay. The key is to experiment, try different things, and find what makes you feel energized and focused. Maybe you thrive on a slow, peaceful morning with some quiet reflection. Or maybe you need to get moving right away with a quick workout. The point is to design your morning in a way that fuels your mind, body, and spirit for the day ahead. Morning routine as a recipe. Think of your morning routine like a recipe. There are a few key ingredients, things like focus, energy, and intention that everyone needs. But the exact recipe is up to you. Some people like more spice in their mornings, while others prefer something a little more mellow. The key is to find the combination that works for you. And just like with any good recipe, you can tweak and adjust it over time. Maybe you add a little more exercise. Maybe you take away some screen time. The goal is to create a routine that nourishes you and sets you up for success. What ingredients will you add to your morning? So, what ingredients will you add to your morning routine? Will you add a little movement, a little mindfulness, a little planning for the day ahead? The choice is yours, and the beauty is that you get to design the perfect morning routine for you. The one thing morning. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the idea of creating a morning routine, don't worry. You don't have to do everything all at once. In fact, sometimes the best way to start is with just one thing. Pick one thing that you can commit to doing every morning. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water as soon as you wake up. Maybe it's spending 5 minutes stretching. Maybe it's writing down your top 3 priorities for the day. Whatever it is, start small. Because once you've mastered that one thing, you can build from there. The power of habit stacking. Building a stronger morning routine now. Let's talk about a concept called habit stacking. Habit stacking is all about building new habits by attaching them to habits you already have. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, you can stack a new habit like drinking water right after you brush your teeth. Habit stacking is a powerful way to build a morning routine that grows over time. Start with one habit and then gradually add more habits, stacking them one after another until you build a routine that feels natural and automatic. Habits as building blocks for your morning. Think of each habit in your morning routine as a building block. Each block supports the next, creating a strong, stable structure for your day. And just like with any building, the foundation is key. So, start with one strong habit, and then add more over time, building a morning routine that's rock solid. What's the first block in your morning routine? So, what's the first building block in your morning routine? What's the one habit you can start with today to create a stronger foundation for your day? Remember, it doesn't have to be big or complicated. It just has to be consistent. Design your morning routine, all right, my fellow architects. It's time to take action. I want you to design your morning routine, one that works for you, one that energizes you, and one that sets you up for success. Start small, pick one habit, and commit to doing it every morning. And once you've got that down, start stacking more habits on top of it, building a routine that's custom designed for your life. Because here's the truth. The way you start your morning is the way you start your day. And the way you start your day is the way you build your life. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the power of mornings. Remember, you are the architect of your life, and every day is a chance to build something incredible, starting with your morning routine. Next time, we'll be diving into the power of failure and how to turn it into your greatest strength. Until then, keep designing, keep building, and keep showing up because you're the architect of your own life. Podcast Part 8. The Community Blueprint. Welcome back, Architects of Excellence. You've been laying down the bricks, building your habits, and designing your life piece by piece. But today, we're shifting gears a little. We're going to talk about something that doesn't often get enough attention in the habit-building world. Community. Yes, your personal growth and success are important, but no one ever truly achieves greatness alone. In this episode, we're going to dive deep into the power of community, the blueprint that supports, uplifts, and strengthens everything you're building. So, buckle up, because today we're exploring the concept of the community blueprint. Let's get into it. Community as scaffolding. Imagine you're building a massive skyscraper, the biggest project of your life. You've got your blueprint. You've laid the foundation. You've started building brick by brick. But here's the thing. To reach the heights you're aiming for, you're going to need more than just your own effort. You need scaffolding, something to support the structure as it grows taller and taller. And that's what community is. It's the scaffolding that keeps your project strong, stable, and on track. Without that scaffolding, the building might falter, collapse, or stall. But with it, the sky's the limit. The people around you, your friends, your family, your mentors, your colleagues, They're the scaffolding that supports you as you grow. So today, we're going to explore how to build and nurture that community to help you reach your highest potential. Who's in your corner? But let me ask you something. Who's in your corner? Who's the scaffolding in your life? Because here's the truth: your habits, your discipline, your work ethic are all crucial. But without the right people around you, it can be a lot harder to keep going. So, think about it. Who's cheering you on? Who's holding you accountable? Who's challenging you to be better? The importance of accountability. Why we need community accountability is one of the most powerful benefits of having a strong community. When you're building something big, whether it's a habit, a goal, or a vision, having people to hold you accountable can make all the difference. Why? Because we're all human, and no matter how disciplined we try to be, there will always be days when we feel like slacking off, days when we doubt ourselves, days when we want to give up. But when you have someone who's counting on you, or even just checking in on you, it gives you that extra push to keep going. It's like having a workout buddy. Sure, you can go to the gym alone, but when someone's waiting for you, you're far less likely to skip out. That's the power of accountability in a community. My own accountability journey. Let me share a little story from my own life. For a long time, I tried to do everything on my own. I had goals, I had plans, but I was keeping it all to myself. I figured, I'm self-motivated enough. I don't need anyone else holding me accountable. And for a while, it worked. But then came the days when I wasn't as motivated, when life got in the way, or when I started doubting myself. That's when I realized the importance of having a community around me. I started sharing my goals with a close friend, and we began checking in on each other regularly. It wasn't a formal accountability partnership, just simple, how's it going? Conversations. But those conversations made a huge difference. Suddenly, I wasn't just working for myself. I had someone else in my corner, rooting for me, and it gave me that extra boost to keep pushing forward. A team of builders, think of it like this. You're the lead architect of your life, but you've got a whole team of builders around you. Each person plays a role in helping you build something amazing. Some provide the materials. Others are there to hold the structure up when things get shaky, and some are there to celebrate with you when the building is complete. You might be the one laying the bricks, but without that team, the project wouldn't be nearly as strong or as fun. Who's on your team? So, who's on your team? Who are the builders in your life? Because here's the thing, success isn't a solo journey. The people you surround yourself with can either lift you up or hold you back. So, take a moment to think about the people in your life. Are they encouraging you, supporting you, and helping you become the best version of yourself? Or are they holding you back with negativity, doubt, or distraction? The power of positive influence. You are the average of the 5 people around you. There's a saying you've probably heard before. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And while it might sound like a cliche, there's a lot of truth to it. The people you surround yourself with have a huge influence on your mindset, your habits, and your success. If you're constantly around people who are negative, who complain, or who don't have goals, it's easy to get dragged down into that same mindset. When you're surrounded by people who are driven, positive, and goal-oriented, that energy rubs off on you. Suddenly, you're inspired to push yourself further, to aim higher, and to stay focused. The energy vampires. Now, we've all had energy vampires in our lives, haven't we? You know the ones, the people who, after just a 5-minute conversation, leave you feeling drained. These are the people who seem to always focus on the negatives, who complain without taking action, and who never seem to believe in anything, least of all in themselves. It's okay to have compassion for these folks, but you've got to set boundaries. Because if you're spending all your time with energy vampires, it's going to be a lot harder to build that skyscraper of success. You need people who energize you, not people who drain you. Building a supportive network. The blueprint for strong connections. So, how do you build a community that supports you? It's all about being intentional. You don't just stumble upon a great support network. You have to seek it out, nurture it, and invest in it. Let's break down the blueprint for building a strong community around you. Step 1. Find people who share your vision. The first step is to find people who share your vision or, at the very least, support your goals. These are people who understand what you're trying to build and who want to see you succeed. They don't have to be pursuing the exact same path as you, but they should share your mindset of growth, learning, and striving for excellence. Whether it's through online communities, professional networks, or personal friendships, seek out people who are on a similar journey. These are the folks who will understand your struggles, celebrate your wins, and give you that boost when you need it. Step 2. Give as much as you take. Here's a big one. Give as much as you take. A healthy community isn't just about what you can get from others. It's about what you can give, too. Support is a two-way street. If you want people to show up for you, you need to show up for them as well. Whether it's offering advice, being a listening ear, or simply being there to encourage someone else, be the kind of person you want in your own corner. When you invest in others, they're far more likely to invest in you, and that's how you build a strong, supportive network. Step 3. Build relationships based on trust and honesty. Trust and honesty are the foundation of any great relationship, whether it's a friendship, a business partnership, or mentorship. Be honest about your goals, your struggles, and your setbacks. When you open up and share your authentic self, you create deeper connections with the people around you. And when those connections are built on trust, they become far more powerful. The people in your community should be able to give you honest feedback, offer constructive criticism, and help you see things from a different perspective. But that only happens when there's a foundation of trust. Community as a bridge. Think of your community like a bridge. It connects you to new opportunities, new perspectives, and new growth. But just like a real bridge, it needs to be strong, well-constructed, and built on a solid foundation. If the bridge is flimsy or unstable, it won't hold up when the pressure's on. But when it's built with trust, honesty, and support, it can carry you across any challenge. What kind of bridge are you building? So, what kind of bridge are you building with your community? Is it strong and supportive, built on trust and mutual respect? Or is it shaky, unstable, and ready to collapse under pressure? Because here's the truth. A strong community can carry you through anything, but it's up to you to build that bridge. The role of mentorship. Learning from others. One of the most valuable aspects of a strong community is mentorship. Having someone who's been where you want to go, who's achieved what you're striving for, can be a game changer. A mentor can offer guidance, share lessons learned, and help you avoid common pitfalls. But here's the thing about mentorship. It's a two-way street. While a mentor can offer you wisdom and advice, you need to be willing to listen, learn, and apply that advice. It's not just about finding someone who's above you. It's about creating a relationship where both parties grow and learn from each other. A mentor as a lighthouse. Think of a mentor like a lighthouse. They've been through the storms. They've navigated the rough waters. And now they're shining a light to help guide you. But here's the thing. The lighthouse can only show you the way. It's up to you to steer the ship. Mentorship is powerful, but it requires action on your part. The mentor can offer guidance, but you're the one who has to put in the work to reach your destination. Who's your lighthouse? So, who's your lighthouse? Who's the mentor guiding you through the challenges and helping you navigate your journey? If you don't have one yet, that's okay. Start seeking out people whose lives, values, or careers inspire you. Reach out, ask for advice, and be open to learning. The power of collaboration. Working together toward a common goal. Finally, let's talk about collaboration. When you work with others, you tap into a collective power that's greater than anything you could achieve on your own. Collaboration allows you to combine skills, ideas, and resources to reach new heights. But collaboration isn't just about working with others. It's about building something together. It's about sharing the load, dividing responsibilities, and celebrating the success as a team. When you collaborate, you create something that's bigger and better than what any one person could do alone. Collaboration as co-architects. Think of collaboration like having co-architects on your project. Each person brings their own expertise, perspective, and creativity to the table, and together, You create something that's more beautiful, more functional, and more inspiring than anything you could design alone. Collaboration isn't just about getting help. It's about building something together. And when you collaborate with the right people, the possibilities are endless. Who are your co-architects? So, who are your co-architects? Who are the people you're working with to build something amazing? Because here's the truth. Success is sweeter when it's shared. And when you collaborate with others, you create something far more powerful than you ever could alone. Build your community blueprint, all right? My fellow architects, it's time to take action. I want you to think about your community blueprint. Who's in your corner, who's holding you accountable, and who's helping you build the life you want. Reach out to those people. Invest in those relationships, and be intentional about building a community that supports and uplifts you. Remember, success isn't a solo journey. It's built with the help of others, your scaffolding, your builders, your co-architects. So, start building your community blueprint today, and watch how it strengthens everything else in your life. Thank you for joining me today as we explore the power of community in building your life of excellence. Remember, you don't have to do it alone. You've got a whole team of people ready to support you if you let them. Next time, we'll be diving into the hidden power of failure and how it can fuel your success. Until then, keep building, keep connecting, and keep growing because you're the architect of your own life. Podcast Part 9, Excellence. The final masterpiece. Welcome back, my fellow architects of excellence, to the final episode of The Habit Architect, Building a Life of Excellence. We've come a long way together, laying down brick by brick, designing routines, breaking through procrastination, and building supportive communities. Today, we arrive at the grand finale, the unveiling of your final masterpiece. This is where all the pieces come together, where we take a look at the big picture of excellence that you've been building this entire time. Today, we're going to talk about what excellence really means and how you can sustain it for the long haul. Let's get started. Life as a masterpiece. Think of your life like a grand work of art, a masterpiece that you've been creating over time. Each habit, each decision, each challenge you've overcome is a brushstroke, carefully adding depth and color to the canvas of your life. At first, those strokes may have seemed random or disconnected. But now, as we step back, we can see that every small action was contributing to a bigger, more beautiful picture. But here's the thing about masterpieces. They're never truly finished. Artists are always adding to them, refining them, improving them. And that's what excellence is. It's not about reaching a final, perfect state. It's about constantly growing, evolving, and striving to be better. Excellence is the ongoing masterpiece of your life. And today, we're going to explore how to keep creating it day after day. What does excellence mean to you? But before we dive into the details, let me ask you something. What does excellence mean to you? Is it about achieving a certain level of success? Is it about mastering a skill or reaching a goal? Or is it about something deeper, about becoming the best version of yourself? Excellence can look different for everyone. For some, it's about being the best in their field. For others, it's about living with integrity and purpose. And for many, it's about finding balance and fulfillment in every area of life. So, what does your masterpiece of excellence look like? The journey of excellence. It's about progress, not perfection. One of the biggest misconceptions about excellence is that it's about being perfect. But let's get something straight right here, right now. Excellence is not perfection. Perfection is an impossible standard, and chasing it will only lead to frustration and burnout. Excellence, on the other hand, is about progress. It's about showing up every day, doing your best, and constantly striving to improve. Think of it like this. Excellence is a journey, not a destination. It's not about reaching some final endpoint where everything is flawless. It's about embracing the process of growth, learning from your mistakes, and continuously moving forward. Excellence is built one step at a time, one habit at a time, and one day at a time. Excellence as a sculpture. Imagine you're sculpting a statue from a block of marble. At first, the block seems rough and unshaped, But with each stroke of the chisel, you refine it, bringing out the form and details that were hidden inside. That's what excellence is. It's the process of chipping away at the rough edges, refining your skills, habits, and character over time. And just like a sculptor, you don't achieve excellence in one go. It takes time, effort, and patience. There will be mistakes along the way, times when you chip off a little too much or make a cut in the wrong place. But that's part of the process. Excellence is about continually refining yourself, getting closer and closer to the masterpiece you're meant to create. Are you willing to keep chiseling? So, the real question is, are you willing to keep chiseling? Are you willing to keep refining your habits, improving your skills, and learning from your mistakes? Because that's what excellence requires. It's the willingness to keep working on yourself. Even when the results aren't immediate, excellence is a lifelong pursuit, and it's one that requires persistence, patience, and determination. The importance of reflection. Taking stock of your journey, one of the most important parts of achieving and maintaining excellence is reflection. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of daily life, always focus on the next goal or the next challenge. But if you don't take the time to step back and reflect on how far you've come, you might miss the bigger picture. Think of it like this. Every great artist takes a step back from their canvas now and then to assess their work. They don't just keep painting without looking at what they've created. They pause, reflect, and make adjustments. And that's what you need to do in your own life. Reflection allows you to see your progress, celebrate your wins, and learn from your setbacks. The keep-going mentality. We've all been guilty of the keep-going mentality, haven't we? You know, that feeling of always pushing forward without stopping to appreciate how far you've come. It's like being on a road trip and refusing to stop at any scenic overlooks because you're so focused on getting to the destination. But here's the thing, life isn't just about reaching the destination. It's about enjoying the journey, taking in the views, and celebrating the milestones along the way. So, give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and appreciate everything you've accomplished so far. Reflection as a mirror. Think of reflection like a mirror. When you take the time to look in the mirror, you see where you are and how far you've come. It's an opportunity to check in with yourself, to see if you're on track, and to make any necessary adjustments. Reflection is a mirror that allows you to see the masterpiece you're creating, both the parts that are finished and the parts that still need work. When was the last time you reflected on your progress? So, let me ask you, when was the last time you took a step back and reflected on your progress? When was the last time you celebrated a win, no matter how small? Because here's the truth. If you don't take the time to reflect, you're missing out on one of the most powerful tools for growth. Celebrating wins. The fuel for sustaining excellence. Speaking of celebrating wins, let's talk about why it's so important. Celebrating your accomplishments, no matter how small, gives you the motivation to keep going. It's like refueling your car on a long road trip. If you never stop to refuel, you're going to run out of gas eventually. But when you take the time to celebrate your wins, you're refilling your tank, giving yourself the energy and confidence to keep moving forward. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be a big celebration. It could be something as simple as treating yourself to your favorite meal or taking a moment to write down your achievement in a journal. The point is to acknowledge your progress and give yourself credit for the work you've done. Wins as building blocks for future success. Think of your wins like building blocks. Each win, no matter how small, is a block that you can stack on top of the others to create something bigger. And the more wins you stack, the more momentum you build. Celebrating your wins doesn't just feel good. It's a way of reinforcing the behaviors and habits that lead to success. It's a way of reminding yourself that you're capable of achieving excellence, one win at a time. How will you celebrate your next win? So, how will you celebrate your next win? What's one small thing you can do to acknowledge your progress and give yourself a boost of confidence? Remember, celebrating your wins isn't just about feeling good. It's about building momentum for the next step in your journey toward excellence. Sustaining excellence. The key to longevity. Now, let's talk about sustaining excellence. It's one thing to achieve a high level of performance or success in the short term, But sustaining that level over time, that's where the real challenge lies. Excellence isn't just about hitting one big goal. It's about maintaining a high standard of performance consistently over time. So, how do you sustain excellence? It's all about creating habits that support your goals, staying committed to continuous improvement, and this is key, avoiding burnout. Because here's the thing, excellence isn't sustainable if you're burning the candle at both ends. The burnout trap. We've all fallen into the burnout trap at some point, haven't we? You get so focused on achieving your goals that you forget to take care of yourself. You push yourself harder and harder, thinking that if you just work a little more, you'll reach that next level of success. And then, bam, you hit a wall, and suddenly, all that progress comes to a screeching halt. But here's the deal. Sustaining excellence requires balance. It requires taking care of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally, so that you have the energy and focus to keep going. Excellence as a marathon, not a sprint. Think of excellence like a marathon. If you try to sprint the entire way, you're going to burn out before you reach the finish line. But if you pace yourself, if you take breaks when needed, and if you fuel your body and mind along the way, you'll have the stamina to go the distance. Sustaining excellence is about finding that balance between pushing yourself and giving yourself the rest and recovery you need. It's about maintaining a steady pace, rather than trying to do everything all at once. Are you running your marathon or sprinting to burnout? So, are you pacing yourself for the marathon, or are you sprinting toward burnout? Excellence is about endurance, not speed. It's about making consistent progress over time, rather than trying to achieve everything all at once. Embrace the journey of excellence, all right? My fellow architects, we've reached the end of this journey together, but your journey of excellence is just beginning. I want you to embrace the idea that excellence isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up every day, laying down those bricks, and continuing to build your masterpiece one step at a time. Take time to reflect on how far you've come, celebrate your wins, and stay committed to the journey. Excellence is a lifelong pursuit, and you have everything you need to keep creating your masterpiece. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the Habit Architect, building a life of excellence. Remember, you are the architect of your own life. Every day is an opportunity to build something extraordinary, and the masterpiece you're creating is uniquely yours. Keep striving, keep growing, and most importantly, keep believing in your ability to create a life of excellence because you are capable of greatness. Until next time, keep building, keep reflecting, and keep showing up because excellence isn't a destination. It's a way of life. Podcast conclusion. Your life in blueprints. Welcome back, Architects of Excellence, to the final episode of our journey together on the Habit Architect, building a life of excellence. Today, we're not laying any more bricks. Instead, we're stepping back to look at the blueprints of your life that you've been designing all along. We've talked about habits, morning routines, overcoming procrastination, building community, and sustaining excellence. And now, it's time to tie it all together. Today's episode is about reflection, gratitude, and stepping into your future with purpose. This is your life in blueprints. Let's dive in. Your life as a series of blueprints. Think about blueprints for a second. Blueprints are more than just drawings on paper. They're a vision, a plan for what something will become. But here's the thing about blueprints. They're constantly being updated, refined, and adapted as the project moves forward. They're not static, and neither is your life. Each phase of your life is its own blueprint, evolving and changing as you grow. The habits you've built, the goals you've achieved, the challenges you've overcome, they're all part of that evolving blueprint. So today, we're going to reflect on the blueprints you've been designing and explore how to carry that momentum forward into the next phase of your life. How far have you come? Let me ask you this. How far have you come since we started this journey together? I'm not just talking about the big, obvious wins. I'm talking about the subtle shifts, the small moments of progress, the daily habits you've been building, and the changes in your mindset. Have you been more mindful of your mornings? Have you caught yourself procrastinating and decided to take action instead? Have you surrounded yourself with people who support your growth? If the answer is yes, even just a little bit, then you've already made incredible progress. The importance of looking back. It's so easy to get caught up in the grind of daily life, always looking ahead to the next goal, the next project, or the next milestone. But reflection is a crucial part of the process. It's about taking a moment to appreciate how far you've come, to acknowledge the work you've done, and to celebrate the small victories along the way. Think of it like standing in front of the building you've been working on for months or years. You step back, you look at how far you've come, and you take a moment to appreciate the progress. That's what today is about. Taking a step back and seeing the masterpiece you've been creating. Reflection as a pause in construction. Reflection is like a pause in construction. When you're working on a big project, sometimes you need to stop, assess the work you've done, and make sure everything is on track. You might need to make adjustments, reinforce certain areas, or even change direction slightly. But without that pause, you might miss something important. In your own life, reflection gives you the chance to check in with yourself. Are you on track with your goals? Are your habits aligned with the vision you have for your life? Is there anything that needs to be adjusted or refined? Taking that pause gives you the clarity to move forward with confidence. What have you learned about yourself? So, what have you learned about yourself during this journey? Maybe you've discovered strengths you didn't know you had. Maybe you've realized that you're more resilient than you thought. Or maybe you've learned that change takes time and that small steps really do add up over time. Whatever lessons you've learned, they're all part of your blueprint. They're the foundation for the next phase of your life. And the best part, you get to carry those lessons with you, using them to build even greater things in the future. Gratitude. Acknowledging the journey. One of the most powerful ways to close any chapter in life is with gratitude. Gratitude for the journey. Gratitude for the lessons learned. And gratitude for the people who have supported you along the way. So, take a moment right now to reflect on what you're grateful for in your life. Maybe it's the progress you've made, the habits you've built, or the mindset shifts you've experienced. Or maybe it's the people in your life who have been cheering you on, offering support, and holding you accountable. Gratitude is like the mortar that holds your blueprint together. It reminds you that, while the journey may not always be easy, it's always worth it. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment and gives you the strength to keep building. The work in progress mentality. Now, if you're anything like me, you've probably caught yourself thinking, I should be further along by now. Or, why isn't this happening faster? We've all been there. But let me remind you of something important. You're a work in progress, and that's okay. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of needing to arrive somewhere, to reach a certain level of success, achievement, or personal growth. But here's the truth. We never really arrive. We're always learning, growing, and evolving. And that's what makes life exciting. So, embrace the fact that you're a work in progress, because that means you're always moving forward. The blueprint as a living document. Think of your blueprint as a living document. It's not set in stone. It's flexible, adaptable, and open to change. And that's a good thing. Life is full of twists and turns, and sometimes the path you thought you'd take isn't the one you end up on. But that doesn't mean you're off track. It just means the blueprint is evolving with you. So, don't be afraid to make changes to your blueprint as you go. Maybe you've realized that some of the goals you set for yourself no longer resonate with who you are now. That's okay. Your blueprint is yours to design and redesign as often as you need to. What changes will you make to your blueprint? So, as you look at your current blueprint, what changes do you want to make? Are there any habits that no longer serve you? Are there goals you want to adjust or new priorities that have emerged? Remember, this is your masterpiece. You have the power to shape it however you see fit. The future, building with purpose. Now that we've reflected on the journey so far, it's time to look ahead. The beauty of building your life with habits and intention is that there's always more to create. Your blueprint doesn't end here. It continues to evolve as you grow and as your vision for your life expands. The key to building with purpose is clarity. What do you want your life to look like in the next year? The next 5 years? What kind of person do you want to become? What new habits do you want to build? Take some time to get clear on your vision, because that vision is what will guide you as you continue to lay down those bricks. The architect's vision. Think of yourself as an architect standing on the site of a project that's already underway. You've got a clear vision for the future, but you're also working with what's already been built. Your job is to blend the two, to take the lessons from the past and use them to create the future you want. The clearer your vision, the easier it is to make decisions about what to build next. And just like an architect, you'll have to make adjustments along the way. Sometimes you'll hit roadblocks or encounter challenges you didn't expect. But with a clear vision and a flexible blueprint, you'll always find a way forward. What's your vision for the future? So, what's your vision for the future? What are the big dreams, goals, or ideas that are calling to you? And how can you use the habits, routines, and lessons you've built to help bring that vision to life? Sustaining excellence. The long-term blueprint. As we wrap up this journey, let's talk about sustaining excellence over the long term. Excellence isn't about short bursts of effort or fleeting moments of success. It's about building a life that reflects your values, your goals, and your purpose. And the way to sustain that excellence is by continuing to nurture the habits and routines that support your growth. Remember, the foundation you've built with your habits is strong. It's the blueprint that will carry you forward, helping you navigate whatever challenges come your way. But to sustain that excellence, you'll need to stay committed to the process. Keep reflecting, keep adjusting, and most importantly, keep showing up. The slow and steady approach, let's be real. Sustaining excellence doesn't mean you have to be perfect all the time. In fact, it's more about consistency than perfection. It's a slow and steady approach that wins the race. Some days, you're going to crush it. Other days, not so much. But that's okay. What matters is that you keep moving forward, even if it's at a slower pace sometimes. Excellence is built over time, not overnight. Keep designing, keep building. So, my fellow architects, here's your final call to action. Keep designing. Keep building. Your life is a masterpiece in progress, and you are the architect. You've got the tools, the habits, and the mindset to create something extraordinary. Don't be afraid to make bold moves, to try new things, and to adjust your blueprint as you go. Reflect on the journey so far, but don't stop there. Look ahead with excitement and anticipation. The best is yet to come, and you have everything you need to build the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the Habit Architect, building a life of excellence. It's been an honor to guide you through these principles, and I can't wait to see what you build next. Remember, every day is an opportunity to add to your masterpiece. So, keep laying those bricks, keep reflecting on your progress, and keep designing the life you want, because you are capable of greatness. Until next time, keep building, and never stop believing in the masterpiece you're creating.